everyone, it's Fawn. I am back with yoga video number 6 for the City of Fawn's YouTube page. Today I wanted to focus a little bit on releasing negative energy. It has been super cold, -40 to -50 for a good solid week here in Fawn as I'm recording this video. And I'm finding that not being able to get outside, not being able to get my walking meditations in, and things like that have been really affecting my moods lately. So I thought maybe I would do a little work with you guys on releasing some negative energy. Let's give it a try. So I have my mat or my non-slippery surface for you guys. I have my blanket as always. I have a bolster nearby. I do have a block nearby. I have a couple of mellow dogs-ish. We'll see how that goes. And I'm going to play you one of my favorite healing chants throughout this entire practice. So if you can hear it, great. If not, sorry. But let's get started. So have a seat on your mat. Find your most comfortable, easy pose. Your most comfortable seated position. For me, that is easy pose. So I like to raise my sit bones up a little bit to try and bring my knees down. Take a moment and straighten up my spine. I invite you to close your eyes here. Our goal is to have our chin parallel to the mat, to the floor, and our spine as straight as possible. Our sit bones firmly planted on the ground in a grounding type of position, type of pose. Grounding energy is what we're seeking here. I like to have my hands facing down, my palms down on my knees, and my head is always going to be reaching for the ceiling above me. So just take a moment here. If this isn't working for your legs, you can have your legs in your 90-90 or straight out in front of you, whatever works for you. As always, I encourage you to listen to your body. So let's take a moment and tune into our bodies before we begin. Last week I asked you to set an intention at the beginning of our class. If that was something that worked for you and you want to give that a try again today, I encourage you to do that now. If it's not for you, that's okay too. Just take a few breaths. Listen to your body. Your eyes closed, or if you prefer them open so you can follow along. We're going to start adding some gentle movement. So to begin, just get this music going a little bit. We're going to start with some nice gentle neck stretches. So we're going to take our right ear to our right shoulder, just a little bit. All we're looking for is that nice stretch along the left side of our neck here. If you can achieve that with your hands on your knees, great. If you're not feeling much of a stretch yet, you can put your hands slightly behind you on the floor. And if you're still not getting that stretch here, you can take your right hand and just add a tiny bit of weight. We're not pulling, we're just setting our hand gently on top of our head to increase that stretch on the left side of our body here. Let's take a few breaths with our ear to the right. One more breath on the side. Nice deep breath in and out through your nose. We're going to release that side, so bringing your head back up to neutral. Just take a couple breaths here before we switch over to the left. Okay, on our next exhale, we're going to take that left ear to our left shoulder. Again, find the hand position that works best for you. Looking to feel a stretch just along the right side of our body now. Good girl. Take one more breath on the right here. Feeling the stretch on the right, but our left ear is reaching towards our left shoulder. And we're going to bring that head right back up to neutral. And we're just going to add some nice neck rolls, nice gentle neck rolls. So as we exhale, we are going to tip our head down, just giving it a nice semicircle from right to left. If it feels okay and you want to go all the way around, if that feels okay in your neck, you can do that. If it doesn't, you can just kind of work back and forth using your inhales and your exhales as your guide. So listening to your own body, moving only as quickly as your breath allows. We are just going to roll that neck a little bit. As I exhale, my head tips forward. As I inhale, reaching my head more towards the sky or slightly back a little bit. We'll take one more rotation in this direction before we switch. So I started my neck going from the right to the left, and as I find my chin back to neutral, back to the center, little girl, I'm going to switch sides and I'm going to take my chin, excuse me, thank you. So I'm going to take my chin now towards the right. And just change that rotation in the opposite direction. Still using your breath as a guide. Oh, lovely. We'll take one more rotation in this direction and finding ourselves back at neutral. We're now going to do a little shoulder shrugging, so might feel good to stretch our legs out a little bit here. Give them a little stretch. Maybe rotate our feet in this direction, back in this direction, just to give those hips a little bit of a release, a break. If you want, you can switch. I had my right leg is almost always the one I choose to put in front, so for this next little bit I'm going to switch and put my left leg in the front as we move into our gentle shoulder rolls. So on my inhale, my shoulders are going to come up, and as I exhale, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades together and release on the exhale. So as I inhale, I'm going to pull my shoulders towards my ears. As I exhale, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades together and release. Just using your own breath as a guide here. Inhale, shoulders come up. Exhale, our shoulder blades are going to come together and release. Come away, my girl. Hello, baby girl. Okay, no more kisses, thank you. No more kisses. I love you too. Yes, I do. on, more in this direction. So inhale, shoulders come up. Exhale, pull those shoulder blades together and release. We'll pause here for a moment before we try and reverse that. So just take a deep breath in. Might feel nice to close your eyes and release. Just notice the work that we've done in our neck and shoulders so far. Now this next one I'm going to ask you to do is going to be the exact opposite of what we just did. So as we inhale, we're going to still bring those shoulders up. And as we exhale, we're going to pull our shoulder blades apart, rounding our upper back, almost in a cat position. And then we're just going to roll them forward on our exhale. So it feels a little awkward for sure. Inhale, the shoulders come up. Exhale, pull those shoulder blades apart and release down. Inhale. Exhale, pulls our shoulder blades apart and release. I can also feel a little bit of a crunching in my core as I do this. It's just a little added bonus for you to enjoy. Pull those shoulder blades apart and release. One more here. Pulling my shoulder blades apart, rounding my upper back. Great. And we're done there. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to remove my blanket. And we're going to do a little bit of work on our knees, a little bit of balancing table and some cat-cows. So if you do have trouble with your knees, you can tuck that blanket here. If even tucking the blanket is not comforting enough for your knees, you can do this next sequence on a couch or a stool. Thank you. Yeah. Go this way. Okay, so take a moment, protect those knees, listening to our bodies as we go. Trying to avoid our puppies if you're in the same situation I am. This is Linny, my 1-year-old pup, and Clarky Malarkey behind us on the couch. He's the well-behaved 8-year-old dog. Anyway, so we're going to start in tabletop here. So as my toes are getting tickled, I'm going to have my knees are going to be hip distance apart. My hands are going to be firmly placed on the mat, shoulder distance apart. And we're going to find that flat back. We want to avoid any rounding down or rounding up. So just as flat a back as our bodies will allow for us in this position. This is our tabletop position. In our tabletop position, we want to be pushing our hands as if we could push them through our mats, but still maintaining that nice flat back. So in order to do that, we're going to engage our core here. So tabletop might look like a resting pose, but it's actually, we're quite engaged here in this position. So from tabletop, we are going to move into a little bit of cat-cow. So as we inhale, my belly is going to drop, my tailbone is going to reach towards the sky. My neck, if your neck allows it, my chin, sorry, is going to reach forward and slightly up. If you're feeling any pain or pinching in your neck, don't worry about doing that part of it then. You just want to try and drop your belly a little bit. So that's our inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to tuck that tailbone down, and we're going to push our shoulder blades apart, just as we were doing in our seated practice there. Push those shoulder blades up as we exhale into cat. So using your own breath as a guide, inhale to cow, exhale to cat. We want to slow our breathing down for this practice, so try and do as much of your breathing in and out through your nose. We'll try and keep that mouth closed if we can. Do not eat my yoga block. Thank you very much. Okay. Inhale to cow, exhale to cat. Inhale to cow.
It might feel nice to pause and hold your breath in one position if it feels better than the other, or just if you want to hold it for a little bit longer. I really enjoy holding in the cat in a cow position and then holding in my cat. We'll do 2 more here. Inhaling into cow, exhaling into cat. 1 more inhale. And exhale.
Our next inhale is going to bring us back to tabletop. So finding that nice neutral back again, nice neutral pelvis. Still engaging our core here. We're looking for that nice 90 degree if we can. And we're gonna go from here to a balancing table. So, balancing table, we're gonna start by reaching back with our right foot, trying to keep our hips still. So you could just straighten that leg out if you want. You can, try it back over here so you can see my foot. You can bring your foot just ever so slightly off the mat, or just touching your toe, your big toe even just on the mat there. So find your stability here. In order to do this pose, we need to engage our core for sure. So if that's with the toe on the ground, great. If you want to bring that foot up, it's not about how high we can bring it, because we don't want that arch by bringing it up. So we just want to lift as high as we can without changing that neutral back. We're imagining our cup of soup or coffee on our back here. And if we feel nice and stable here, we're going to extend opposite arm. So right leg, left arm. What are you eating now? And our balancing table. And we're just going to hold here for 3 breaths. Your gaze can be down between, like straight down on the floor, or just a little bit in front of you. Great. We're going to release that side. Good. And do balancing table on the opposite side. So, just so you can see what I'm doing here. Oh, she's chewing like walk up. No, that's not okay, girl. No. Quick flux and puppies, not the best combination apparently. After a week of 40 below. Okay. Okay, sorry. Back to cat-cow. Sorry, to balancing table on the left. So, finding that nice neutral tabletop, nice neutral back, pushing our hands through the floor, but without an arch. We're going to straighten our left leg this time. Finding either the toe on the floor or just raising it a tiny little bit just to engage that lower core. And if you're feeling stable and happy here, I invite you to add opposite arm, so left leg, right arm. And we're going to hold here for 3 breaths. You could have your toe pointing straight out behind you, or you could have your foot flexed. I notice that with my foot flexed, I'm feeling a little bit more engagement in my thigh. And release. Great. Rescue my cork. One more time, hopefully that's the last of it. And we're going to push back into child's pose here. So in child's pose, our seat is reaching for our heels. If the floor is accessible to you this morning, I invite you to walk your body all the way down. If the floor is not accessible to you this morning, grab your bolster or your pillows
You can do your child's pose on that. You can have your knees spread wide for a wide-legged child's pose. And we'll just take a few breaths here. From here, we are going to do a thread the needle. So we're going to start with our right hand. So keeping our lower body in child's pose position, if that's working for you still, you can take your right arm and just thread it underneath your left, touching your head again to the floor, or if you need to use a prop, keep your bolster nearby or your pillows, or you can even rest your head up on a block. What we're doing here is we're feeling a nice stretch across our shoulders, a nice release on the, hello little girl, a nice release on our right shoulder, as well as a hip opener. We hold a lot of tension in our hips, so I'm going to be doing quite a bit of hip opening today to release that negative energy. Take one more nice deep breath here, in through our nose and out through our nose. And we're going to come back to neutral child's pose. So just one breath here before we switch sides. No. There you go, little girl. So this time we're going to thread that left hand under our right, reaching our, we want to rest our head down either on the mat or on our bolster or pillows here. Nice opening on our left shoulder and upper back. One more nice deep breath here, in through our nose. And out through your nose. Hello. You don't need to. Okay, we're gonna come up. We're gonna find our seat here. And give those legs a little bit of a shake. My hips tend to be super tight, so do a little windshield wiper here to release that tightness in my hips. Maybe you're feeling those in yours as well. Windshield wipers, we're just gonna toes together, toes apart, just a couple times here for internal, external rotation of our hips. We've done this in a few videos so far. It's one of my favorites. Sorry, guys. Okay. From here, we're going to plant our sit bones firmly on the mat. No, not moving. And we're going to do a bound angle pose. So, bound angle, we will find the soles of our feet together, if this works for you. I like to bring my feet in close, but you find what works for you. Our goal here is just to plant our sit bones. And then, like I said, those feet, could be further away from your body or closer together. You find what your body needs today. I'm going to have mine close together and close to my body. I also like to take a moment here and try and encourage my hips to open. That is, my hips tend to be at internal rotation, so I struggle a little bit here where other people may not. So I always like to walk my elbows onto my knees and tuck my hands under my feet here and just kind of work my hips a little bit. I'm not pushing them to the point where I'm feeling pain, just adding a little bit of, just feeling that little bit of resistance in my hips to encourage them to open and release just a little bit more than they can do on their own here. So I'm pulling down with my knees, but I'm also encouraging that with my elbows as well as I rescue my other block. There. Okay, so just enjoy your peaceful bound angle. Hopefully yours is a little more peaceful than mine is currently. There she goes. Whew. When I'm reaching my elbows down, I'm bending at my waist, not so much curling. I'm trying to keep my back nice and straight and bending at my waist. That intensifies that release in my hips as well in this position. That is what we're looking for. You can feel that right on the inside of my hips. That's the sensation that we're looking for. If you're feeling that up here, stay there. That's great. Let's take a moment, stretch these out. Might feel good to shake those legs a little bit again. If you need to get a drink before you move into our standing poses, now would be a great time to do that. Otherwise, I'll meet you in standing. So, you guys are really putting me through the test today. We're going to find our mountain pose. So my mountain pose is toes together, ankles together, knees together, pulling my kneecaps, engaging my upper thighs, with my shoulders back and down, my palms are facing forward, my chin is parallel to the mat. That's not going to work for everyone, so take a moment, find the mountain pose that works best for you, the one that makes your body feel stable and strong. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit, I encourage you to find the mountain pose that works for you and just close your eyes. And let's just take that moment here and notice the work that we've done so far. Maybe we're feeling some heat in our body, maybe we're feeling a release, maybe a lightness in our body, particularly for me in my hips, just the releasing of that negative energy. I'm feeling it already. I hope you guys are too. I'm feeling a little lighter as I stand here. Great. We're going to take one more nice deep breath here. Inhale as our arms come up. We're going to do a standing forward fold. So we're going to bend our waist. You can bend your knees a little bit if you need to here. And we're just going to release that upper body. Just let it hang. We don't want to be holding any tension in our neck here. Just let it go. You should be able to nod yes and no. Your chest might be resting on your thighs, or it might not. It's okay. As long as you're feeling that stretch all along the back of your legs and a release in your shoulders and neck, you're doing it. That's all we're looking for here. And just breathe into the standing forward fold. As my mat is getting super crowded, I'm going to walk my hands, plant my hands in front of me. I'm going to walk my feet back a little bit. We're looking for, no, Waco. No, we're looking for our first downward facing dog. So, hi. In downward facing dog, my fingers are spread wide. My chest is reaching for the mat. Pardon me. Hands planted. I am like up on the balls of my feet and I'm reaching my chest down. Let's take a moment here and walk those legs out. Our heels are reaching for the mat. Might not happen today. That's okay. But that's what we're reaching for. What I'm feeling in my body and what I'm hoping you are feeling in your body is that I'm feeling a nice stretch in my shoulders. I'm feeling some stretching in the back chain of my body, and my calves, and my thighs. Oh, my little girl, you're being ridiculous. From here, we are going to do an upward facing dog. So I'm going to bring my upper body forward. I'm going to walk my hands so that they're directly underneath my shoulders. We're going to start in plank. So our body's going to be nice and firm, as if we were aboard on some water here. My core is engaged, my legs are engaged, everything is engaged. From here, I'm going to tuck my feet down, and I'm going to drop my body, not touching the mat, but just hovering a little bit here in an upward facing dog. If it feels good, you can reach your chin forward, slightly upward. I'm feeling some compression in my lower back in this position. And when you're ready to release it, go back into downward facing dog. Find that stability in our downward facing dog. Kind of ironic that I have two dogs around me when I chose this sequence. This morning, they were not quite so excitable when I wrote this sequence. But that's life. So we'll take a couple more breaths in downward facing dog. We're gonna move into our plank position again. Core is engaged. I'm gonna walk my feet backwards right into my puppy. And she's nibbling on my heel. Holding in our plank for just a couple more breaths. And then I'm gonna tuck my feet down, dropping my hips down, and reaching into my upward facing dog. If that doesn't feel good for you, I encourage you to come all the way down, and you can do a Sphinx pose instead. So if upward facing dog is not working and you're feeling too much compression or some pain, that's not what we're looking for in yoga. What we want instead is to lower your body all the way down to your mat and come up onto our elbows in a nice, gentle Sphinx pose instead. This is also a back bend, same benefits, just a little less work for our legs and core, but still we're looking for that mild compression, not pain or pinching in our lower back here. Just another little release. So I encourage you to choose Sphinx or upward facing dog. So if we're in Sphinx pose, we're going to come back up into tabletop, back into our downward facing dog, and we are going to walk our hands towards our feet, hang out here in a standing forward fold just for a minute. And as we inhale, we're going to let our hands trail slightly up our back. We're looking for a nice flat back and our halfway lift. We're going to exhale into our forward fold. And we're going to inhale all the way up to standing, reaching for that sunshine that the cold weather tends to bring. And exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to do that one more time. So, nice deep breath in, hands reaching for the sky. We're going to exhale, bending in our waist into a forward fold, swan dive those arms down to a forward fold. Nice, slow, deliberate movements here, and that nice stretch
along our back body. We're gonna inhale, halfway lift. I feel a little bit of work in my glutes in this position. We're gonna exhale to forward fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reaching all the way to the ceiling and exhaling, hands back down. We're gonna build a little bit of heat here. Let's do it one more time. Nice deep breath in, arms reaching for the ceiling. Might feel nice to stretch one longer than the other. And then we're gonna swan dive down, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, swooping those hands all the way to the ceiling. And exhale to heart center. Oh my girl, please stop. Oh. And let's just take a moment here and pause before we move into our next standing sequence. So I'm gonna move my puppy. Thank you. Nice slippery floor, she slides easily. Okay, we're gonna come to the top of our mat into our mountain pose. I'm just gonna get it a little warm. I hope you guys are feeling a little heat as well. We're gonna find our mountain pose. From here, we're gonna take a nice deep breath in. As we inhale, we're gonna lift our right leg up. And as we exhale, our hands are gonna come down through heart center, and we're gonna reach back with that right foot, finding our warrior two legs. So, for me, warrior two is going to be, with my left leg is going to be bent at a 90 degree, my knee. I'm going to take a moment and walk my right leg back, and I like to have the heel of my front foot line up with the instep of my back foot. That doesn't work for everybody, so you might need to play around a little bit and find your stability here. So you might want to have your legs spread a little wider. You might want to walk your legs a little closer together. We're looking to avoid any type of knee pain here. If you're feeling any knee pain, please just take a moment and find your stance. So maybe your legs are further apart. Maybe they're not quite as lined up. Maybe they need to be this way. You can always turn your feet. You can play around with that. Our goal is not to be feeling any knee pain. Our goal here in this position, in any warrior position, is to find our strength. So we are working on our strength in our legs. So finding our stability here first in our legs. I'm gonna have that nice neutral pelvis. Like I said, I'm gonna have that bend in my front leg, and my foot tends to go at a 45 in the back, but you can play around with that. It could be at a 90, it could be at a 45, or any variation thereof. We're looking to feel engagement. And when we feel that in our legs, we're gonna add our arms to warrior two. So our gaze is gonna come right over the front fingers. Our back arm is gonna be just as high as our front. Okay, so arms are strong, legs are strong. Warrior two, with our left leg forward. We're gonna take a moment here and just turn our palms up and down with our breath. So as we inhale, palms can come up. As we exhale, palms can come down. If our legs are still feeling strong, we can bring our body down a little bit more to increase that intensity. And on our next inhale, when we find our palms up, we're gonna do a reverse warrior. So reaching that right hand down our leg as a guide. We're not using that leg for support, just as our guide as we reach that top hand, our left hand towards the ceiling. Reverse warrior. We're gonna take one breath here, and then we're gonna come down to side angle. Side angle could find us with our elbow resting on our knee, could find our hand reaching for the floor or a block, or just alongside here. We don't want to have a crunch in our side body. We want to feel a lengthening here. Okay, side angle. Your gaze can be upward towards your hand, or straight in front of you, or down at the mat. Whatever works best for your neck. My legs are starting to shake a little bit here, and you'll notice my feet didn't change in this position. We're gonna come back up to our warrior two. We're gonna straighten that front leg. We're gonna do triangle here. So now both of my legs are gonna be as straight as I can. I'm gonna take that top hip, so my right hip, and I'm gonna pop it just a little bit. What that does for me is I can feel my stretch moving more to the inside of my left leg. So a little crunch here, and I'm gonna grab my block if I need it. Reaching for a block. You can rest your hand on that. So hand can come down to block, or it can be on your ankle. So trying to have a nice straight body into our triangle pose. Your gaze can be up, straight out, or down. I'm gonna take 2 breaths here. And I'm gonna drop that top hand. I'm gonna turn my back toes, so both sets of my toes are facing forward now. Sorry, buddy. Looking for a pyramid pose, so my legs are gonna be as straight as I can. A micro bend is fine. And then we're just gonna bring our upper body down towards that left leg. Now, I'm feeling a nice stretch all along my left leg here. And as I'm reaching for my back foot may not reach the mat, my heel, but I am reaching that way. And as I'm reaching my back foot down, I'm feeling a nice stretch in my calf on my right leg, my back leg, and a nice stretch all along the back of my left leg. And a release in my upper body. I'll take 2 more breaths here in pyramid. And then we're just going to bring that back leg up into a standing forward fold. And as we inhale, we're just going to bring our body back up to standing. Release those shoulders. Give our legs a little shake. And we do that on the opposite side. So that was left leg forward. So now we're gonna come to the top of our mat again. Take a nice deep breath in. As we inhale, we're gonna bring that left leg up. Left leg up as our hands come up. And then we're gonna, as we exhale, hands are gonna come down through right center. And your opposite leg is moving back. So for me, my left leg is in the back this time. My right leg's in the front. And take a moment. Find your warrior 2 legs. Okay. Get that little bend. Check in with our torso. We want our body to be as up and down over those hips as we can. We don't want to be leaning too far one way or the other. We want to try and avoid a bend in our back here. So everything is going to be engaged. Our strength pose, our warrior pose. Take a moment. We don't want to be having any pain in our knees here. So check in with your knees. When you find your strength and stability in your legs, it's time to add our arms. Warrior 2 arms. As I bring my arms up, I find, for me, that's kind of my cue to lower my body down just a little bit, if I can. And that's going to intensify the work in my legs, the heat building. We don't want to be like this. We want to relax the shoulders down and make sure our back arm is up. So as much as our front if we can. And let's just take a breath. As we breathe in, our palms are going to come up. As we exhale, our palms are going to come down. Palms up. Exhale, palms down. This next inhale, our palms are up. And as we exhale, we're going to tip back into reverse warrior, using our back leg as a guide for that left arm. Our right arm is going to reach for the ceiling, maybe even slightly behind us. Reverse warrior. Take 2 breaths here. And as we exhale, we're gonna find our side angle. Again, that could be with your elbow to your knee. Notice my feet aren't changing, my feet have not moved, or it could be reaching for the ground here. You want to avoid that crunch. So maybe up here is where we need to be. And just reaching that top hand towards the ceiling or overhead for your side angle. This way or this way. With my hand overhead, I'm feeling a nice stretch all along there, as well as I work in my glute on the front leg, on my right leg. And we're gonna release that down. Come back up into our warrior 2. From here, I'm gonna find triangle, so my hip pops, straighten that front leg. Again, my feet don't move, but that's not necessarily gonna work for everybody. So if you need to move your feet around a little bit to find your triangle, do that. If you need that micro bend, so you're not feeling any pain in your knees, I encourage you to do that. We're gonna pop that hip a little bit. That makes me feel it right along the inside of my right leg. When I'm there, I'm gonna reach forward before I bring my hand down onto a block or the floor or my leg. You could rest anywhere along your leg, but we're not resting, we're not pushing into this leg, we're using our core to find our triangle. Gaze can be forward, at the floor, or towards the hand for more of a balanced challenge. And again, we're trying not to crunch the side all the way down. Just open up. Great, we're gonna release that top hand. Finding pyramid pose, so I'm gonna turn my back toes facing forward. I'm gonna pop them up just a little bit, shortening my stance. You might have that little bend in your legs. In pyramid pose, I'm feeling just a nice stretch along the back of my legs. With the heel of my back leg reaching for the floor, I'm feeling a nice intense stretch in my calf. Not pain, just a nice intensity here. Your fingers could be tented, they could be up on a block, but our goal is to just release that upper body, and that's just going to intensify that stretch on our right leg. Releasing our upper body here. Take one more nice deep breath in pyramid pose. We're going to bring that back leg up so our feet are meeting again. And we're going to do a standing forward fold. Last one. Just let everything hang. Might feel nice to grab opposite elbows here. Sometimes I like to just pull one shoulder and then the other. And we're going to come up slowly as we inhale. That's the work for today. Now we're going to move back down to our mat for our cooling down phase. So if you find you really like legs up the wall, you can move your mat towards a wall at this point. If that's not something that you're into today, you can always just use a block or a bolster, and you could do a bridge pose instead. So I'm gonna choose legs in the air. So I'm gonna grab my handy, slightly chewed on block, and I'm going to find myself reaching ever so slowly down to the mat. I'm going to plant my feet on the ground. I'm just gonna bring my, oops, sorry buddy. I'm just gonna bring my hips up so that I can plant that block under my hips. You could do a block or a bolster here for legs up the wall, whatever you prefer. Or you could even just have your lower body flat on the mat. And just bring those legs up. Whichever you prefer. Or you can do a supportive bridge pose here, just by putting your bolster underneath your foot and keeping your feet planted on the ground. Giving too many options, I feel, so I'm gonna digress. I like to release my hair here so I don't have that bump in my neck. And then just bring those legs up. And we're gonna spend about 3 minutes here. So I like to alternate my feet flexed and point my toes. It's just something that I like to do in this pose. But if you want to find your stillness, if you want to calm yourself right down and find your stillness here, just pick whichever foot position is best for you. Keep holding that position. I invite you to close your eyes here. If you have your legs in the air and up against the wall, I invite you now to, if you have that block or bolster under you, I invite you to plant your feet on the ground. Lift your hips and remove that prop. From here, we're going to give ourselves a nice little hug. While we're doing that, if you are up against the wall, you might want to move away from the wall. So we're going to do one of my favorite poses, a nice heart opener. We're going to do fish pose. So to do fish pose, you can grab your block. I'm just going to show you a few different ways. Excuse me, blocks are not for puppies. No, there you go. There you go, little girl. Okay, so you can have your block this way. We want to be basically finding our bra strap area here. So move your block down. We're gonna point our legs straight out in front of us, point those toes, and please stop nibbly biting me. I love you too. Nibbly bites aren't necessary. Okay, sorry. And release ourselves down here. If this is too intense, you can take your block away, reach for your towel or your blanket, and just take a moment here and fold it. Fold it, fold it, fold it. So it's lower than our block. And again, we want to put it right on that bra strap area. And then you can bring your arms out on either side. And again, little girl, please stop. Just having that little elevation across our upper back is gonna open our chest, open our heart, and it's gonna help us release more of that negativity that you may or may not be feeling. And we're gonna open our heart to some positive energy and some positive feelings and maybe some humor. Thanks to Linny. Wherever you find yourself, whatever fish pose you choose, we're gonna stay here for 2 minutes. Is that time in our practice for Shavasana or corpse pose. So if you are enjoying fish pose and you want to carry that on through your 2 or 3 minute Shavasana, I encourage you to choose that option for yourself. If you want the traditional Shavasana, at this time I ask you to remove your prop, your blanket or your block by coming up onto your elbows and removing that out of the way. You might want to grab yourself a blanket or a bolster from your knees, maybe a blanket under your head. Maybe you want to put your socks on if your house is a little chilly, so you don't lose that heat that we built up today in this practice. But I invite you to find your most comfortable reclined position. I like to have that bolster under my knees and come down for your Shavasana. I invite you to close your eyes. Stillness. Concentrate on your breath. invite you now to add some slow and gentle movements to your body. That could be just some small movements to your fingers, small movements to your toes. Maybe you want to add some circles to your wrists and ankles, just bringing some movement back into our bodies. While we do that, I just want to, you can keep your eyes closed, and I just want to tell you what this Ramadasa healing chant, some meaning to it. Ra is sun, connecting with that frequency, giving you energy. Ma means moon, and it aligns you with receptivity so that you can receive a different energy. Da is earth energy. Those are grounding energy, grounding into our roots. Sa is infinity. As you chant, your energy rises upwards and outwards, drawing in the healing of the universe. So Ra, Ma, Da, Sa. This is one of our healing chants. And it's one of my personal favorites. I invite you now to bring your knees up to your chest. Give yourself a little hug. Maybe rock from side to side. You can roll over onto one side. No rush here. Just take a moment. Find that last little bit of time to yourself on your mat. I apologize for the less than quiet shavasana that's happening over here. And when you're ready, I invite you to find your seated position, your easy pose. We're going to close our eyes one more time here. Take a nice deep breath in together. And as we exhale, we're going to open our mouth. And just release. Nice deep breath in as we inhale through our nose, exhale through our mouth. On this next inhale, our arms are going to come overhead. Our palms are going to touch overhead, and as we exhale, our hands are going to find heart center. We're going to bow our heads slightly in gratitude for the work we have done for ourselves, releasing any negativity, any negative emotions, thoughts, feelings that might be rattling around inside of you this week. I hope this helped you release those and make some room for some more positive, loving energy to come back in on this beautiful, bright, sunny day. Thank you for practicing with me. Bye for now.